Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Yes, 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 it is the Daily Dish. I'm so glad you're here. Look at everybody. You know what? It's Wise Women's Wednesdays. Wise women show up. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that? All righty. So who's in the house? Well, we've got Catherine. There's our mother hen. Nancy's here. Jocelyn, Deborah, good to have you here. I'm so happy to see you. And Jackie, of course. You ready for Wednesday? You ready for Thursday? Thursday's going to be a best of because I'm going to be on the road, y'all. I'm going to state. Oh my gosh, I can't even believe that. Hey, Sue, I'm glad you're having a beautiful day. It's a little chilly outside, not too bad. I've got my this crazy onesie thing on. And boy, is it nice. It's all sweater. It's all nice and warm and cozy. I sure like it. Jane, I'm so glad you're here. I'm really excited about today's show. And the thing about today's show is just I want you to look for contrast, and I want you to see how you can apply this. This whole week we've been talking about getting unstuck, because being stuck, as anybody knows, is just the most miserable place to be, because you don't feel like, it's the land of limbo. It's no fun. But anyway, I have some ideas for you today. I really believe are going to help you. They've already helped me because I told you I felt stuck. So anyway, things are just popping. Pop, pop, pop. So let's get going here. And first of all, you need to know about our clearance. We have a fall clearance sale. Fall clearance. When these products are gone, they are gone, 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 gone. I'm talking gone. Go to savingdinner.com/show to save big time on us. We have 7 different supplements there, right? Take advantage of them. Because once they are gone, you will not see them again. They will not be appearing anywhere on the Saving Dinner website. So I'm giving you fair warning. You can buy as many as you want. We've got the inventory totals there and the whole bit. And I just want you to, want you to be able to get them, right? Kathy, hi. So there's that. The other thing that you need to know is, of course, we do our free shipping for those of you who are ordering a ton of supplements or whatever it is that you're ordering. And if you spend $300 in our shop, we are going to give you free shipping as long as you're here in the United States. Going to do it for you just because that's how we roll. So that's really important. Nancy wants to know, are you bringing new ones in? Yes, I've got a new product that I'm actually meeting with the manufacturer next Wednesday at 2:00. We're meeting, and we're going to be formulating this new product. I've got a ton of things that are in, kind of in the thing. So just be watching. Ultimately, making decisions about what to keep and what to let go of and what to bring in and what to continue to develop all depends on how well it sells. Because honestly, why would I invest hard-earned money on something that doesn't resonate with you? So that's why we did the big thing that that's why I asked you, what do you want? What sounds really good to you? Because you're the arbiter of all of our products. You tell me what you want. I can guess on certain things. For example, one thing you'll never see on sale except maybe on, a special sale or something is beauty support. We sell, gosh darn it, that stuff sells. We have a lot of people who buy beauty support simply just because, they're on subscribe and save and all of that. But the rest of it is, it's up for grabs. Things that I think aren't necessarily the things that resonate with you. So I don't know. Go check it out anyway. You know what it is that you want. And if there's ever any product suggestions that you have or whatever, please send me an email and just send it to support@savingdinner.com and I will get it. Believe me, I get all my emails that are forwarded to me and we'll take care of it. The quote of the week this week is just train the mind and the body will follow. And that's what we're talking about this whole week and have been talking about this whole week when it comes to getting unstuck. Now, I told you tomorrow, this is the end of this series, is today, and I've got a lot to unpack on this. And this is stuff that I know if you put into action, it will unstick you. I promise. It will unstick you. This is how good this stuff is, and it really does work on the mind. And we have to look at this quote of the week. It's just such great stuff because our minds are the things that's the needle mover right there. It doesn't matter how many plans in the world you have, how many, ideas or whatever. If you can't get your brain on board, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. You can buy all the produce and have the plan printed out and have it laminated and have it framed and put on your wall. You can do all of that stuff. But if you can't convince your brain to get on board, it's not happening. And all that produce in your bin is going to rot. Am I right? I am. And this is why this mindset piece is so important, which brings me to the next thing. And that is write this down in your calendar. November 1st, things are going to do a mighty big shift, big time. Now, if you have TikTok, you're in good shape. If you don't have TikTok, you're going to want to get TikTok. I'm going to start doing our TikTok, we're going to get off the Facebook platform and go on to TikTok. Okay? That's what we're going to do. We're going to go on to TikTok. That's where the show is going to be live on TikTok. And it's going to be Monday through Thursday, just like it is right now. And format is going to be slightly different and it's going to shrink down a little bit and be a little bit smaller. So I'm just giving you some of that update of what you can expect. And, we watch everything. We look at all of our numbers on everything. Jenny does a big, fat, juicy report for us every single Monday. So we can see where the numbers are. And you know what, y'all? The numbers are on TikTok. That's where they are. So I'm going to go where the numbers are. And so therefore, y'all who've been with me, come on, let's do it. TikTok, it's the way to go. It's the way to be. And we're also going to be having a TikTok shop. That's another thing entirely. I'll tell you more about that as we start to come around. We're getting stuff on Amazon as well. I'll tell you more as stuff starts to come around. But this is where we are as a company, as as a woman who is interested in staying on top of things. And also, I want to work a little bit less. I want to play a little bit more pickleball. I know, I'm that woman. What about YouTube? I don't know. I mean, maybe what we'll do is also put it on YouTube. Facebook is dying. I don't know. Facebook is just, I don't know what it is, but they suppress our numbers all the time. We're starting to get tons of trolls in there. I don't know. People don't check in and out like they used to. I don't. Do you? I don't know. You can do TikTok if you choose to, Nancy. You could. Yeah. So this is all I'm saying is that when wise women evolve, wise women take a look at, okay, so what's going on here? And I have to move where the numbers are. Because if I don't, then I go extinct, and just fall off. I don't know. Maybe what I could do is I can still do all three platforms at the same time. I don't know. Maybe we can. I don't know. But I do know that we're going back onto TikTok simply because that's where our numbers are. That's what makes sense for us. And we have, 157,000 followers versus 73,000 here. It hasn't changed much here. So there's a big, big difference. You see what I'm saying? And I'm telling you all of this because I care about you. I want you to go over there. I want to be able to help you. TikTok has controversy. You know what's so stupid about TikTok's controversy? every single social media platform has the same darn controversy because they're all selling our information. And if you don't believe that, the next time that you go looking for a pair of winter boots and suddenly see them in your feed, you know, right? It's called cookies and cookie you at every bit, every moment. So controversy or not, you know, I'm going to go where the numbers make sense for me to go. I'm investing my time, and this is what I need to do. And this is where the wisdom is. So this is how you do. The link for the show in TikTok app, you know what it is? Yeah, searching can be a little bit unfriendly, but the information is, it's tiktok.com/saving dinner. So you could probably do it on your desktop. But, we are just right now, we're feeling things out and we're making some shifts. I'm making some dramatic shifts. I'm making some dramatic shifts when it comes to programs that we're going to be offering, dramatic shifts as far as what our inventory, what our merchandise is going to be, what our supplements are going to be. And it's all in accordance with what the numbers tell us. I've had supplements I've had to throw away before. I don't feel good about that. And it's not going to happen again, not on my watch. So there's a shift, and we can roll with it. Okay. I'm just letting you know, I'm giving you plenty of time and heads up. You can go onto TikTok. You can see a ton of stuff on TikTok there. Yeah. See, look at that. You can follow it on computer as well. So it's not like you're stuck on some phone with a bunch of dancing teenagers doing stuff that you're not interested in. Okay. Anyway, let's get down to business here, because I really want to get into. See, there's Sue. Look at what Sue said. I can adjust. That's the sign of a wise woman. I can adjust. Yes, you can. We can all adjust. We need to. This is what life is all about. We just train the brain and our bodies will follow. I love that quote so much. So we have been talking this week. Wise women have been talking this week. And by the way, I appreciate all of you so much, and always send me feedback. And I know this is not going to make everybody happy, but I have to make business decisions as well as make, personal and emotional and other types of decisions. It's just how it works. Of course, we'll do show notes. Always do show notes. Yes, Nancy. So just train the brain and the body will follow. And that includes getting unstuck. Because if we are about making sure that we change our minds on certain things and change our thoughts, we can then change this feeling of being stuck, And what is what is the number one way that we can overcome any kind of obstacle that stands in our way? The first one is understanding it, because often feeling stuck is the result of repeated patterns or thoughts or behaviors that don't at all serve our goals. They're two ships in the night passing each other. And it's why we feel so disconnected with our goals and with our lives, and we know this, and we talked about this last night. If you were part of, we just finished up to the Rising Tide, which was, what a class we had with the women that were there, were just incredible. But the whole thing is that our values and our goals just have to walk hand in hand. They have to be BFFs forever, because it's one thing to make a goal that is beyond the realm of what it is that you feel in your heart is your mission and is your value and is important to you and is your purpose in life. We don't make goals to please other people. We make goals to please ourselves. And that's part of getting stuck, is that we are worried about what everybody else is thinking. And we have these deeply ingrained patterns of doing this stuff. And we don't even see it, that this stuff is colliding and makes achieving any kind of goal pretty much impossible as well. And it makes it so that we can't get off the dime. And we have to look at then, because we're talking about this, just train the brain and the body will follow. What we're talking about here is neuroplasticity. And this is how flexible your brain is. This is how amazing your brain is. And this is how you can get away from all this crazy nonsense. Yesterday, we touched a little bit on ruminative thinking. And today, I really want to unpack this because this is the difference between staying stuck and being able to move forward. And again, what we discussed yesterday, if you were with us yesterday, this ruminative thinking oftentimes has is filled with regret and the past and all the stuff that comes with it, all the baggage that comes with it. And it is this one continuous negative loop. And it just, boy, does that make you feel lousy, right? That's one. And then on the other side of the coin is, what's the difference between ruminative thinking and versus worry? And worry is more about worrying about the future and what ifing yourself in a very negative way, kind of a thing. So there's two different things, though. Worry can become ruminative. I hate this word, ruminative, but it can be. But the point is that if we can, let's look at this and see what this whole thing is about. Because ruminative thinking, it's derived from the Latin word ruminare, which means to chew over and over again, much like a cow with a rumen does. And just think about, how it's a gross. We always think, oh, how peaceful these cows look in the field. They're sitting there and they're chewing away and they swallow, then they barf it back up into their mouth and they chew it up again and again and again. And that is, I worked in the vet med teaching hospital when I was over at UC Davis. And I will tell you that those cows can be pretty stinky, and their rumens, you get cows with plugs in the side of them. And you just don't even want to know, looking at what their digestive process was. So what we need to do is we need to be looking at this, because this ruminative thinking is referring to the repetitive and passive focus on symptoms of whatever your distress is, whether it's regret from the past or what the possible causes were, what the consequences are that you're experiencing at the time. And you're looking at all of that piled high and deep, instead of looking at what is the solution to this particular issue or issues or pile of stuff. How can I deal with this? Because what does that require from you? That requires a whole different set of thoughts. It requires a great big huge shift. And it also requires creativity, curiosity, and putting your mind and your focus on something else. So when we're in this mental loop, it's basically like a mental hamster wheel of negativity. And you're just going and going and going nowhere, spending a whole bunch of energy. It's exhausting. It is depleting. It is depressing. And yet, this is the very thing that keeps us stuck. It stucks. Okay, good question, Kathy. Look at what Kathy asked, because I was going to just talk about that. So what is the difference between ruminating versus reflecting? Because I was going to just talk about that. I cannot believe you said that. The timing is impeccable. So reflecting is on what just happened here and doing an assessment, doing an analysis on it, not reliving it, not going over it over and over again, but instead the whole focus is on problem solving. When we're in reflective mode, we're reflecting on, okay, so let's take a look at what just happened here. Okay. And this is what reflective thinking brings us to the place of understanding and taking a look at what the possibility for solutions are. That's what it does. This is why we call it the experience file. Reflective thinking is the thing that allows us to extrapolate the experience from the mess, so that we can use that experience for a lesson learned and a moving forward and an up-leveling in our whole experience in life. Because if we learn our lessons, then we don't end up being the poster children, for what could go wrong in your life when you make, a poor decision. I don't want to be the poster child for, poor decisions, right? then why was this poor decision made? What can we do about this? Why did I make this decision instead of taking my time and really, pushing back and saying, I need a minute to really think about this. Those are more constructive when we're reflecting. And we don't have to repeat the thoughts, because it is some repeat of thoughts, but it's also a repeat and a reliving of the emotional entanglement, if you will, of whatever it was in the past. So, I had a girlfriend whose husband left her for his nurse. He was doctor, left her for a nurse. I will tell you, this woman lived the ruminative thinking was just ridiculous. What if I had done this? What if I had done that? What if, this, and the other thing? And I'll tell you, the thing that is so difficult about this and about this whole thought process is that it can lead you into a place of absolute paralysis when you're doing that kind of thing, because you're not focused on what the next thing is to change it up. You're not focused. You're not trying to analyze it. You're so mired in the emotional baggage of what this thing is. Does that make sense to you? I sure hope so. I don't feel like I'm really explaining it well, but this is really an important differentiator, because when we're reflective, we're being analytical and trying to figure out, what is this thing? What is this thing that I need to learn from? What is this thing that I can grow from and go forward with? What's the solution to this? Whereas when you're into the ruminating kind of a thing, you're just rolling around in just the awfulness of the situation and feeling all those same feelings that you've had before. And remember, that's the part of the whole thing. And the neuroplasticity comes jumping into the middle of this and creates an even more stronger negative neural pathway. That's what we do. So if we're in the business of creating new neural pathways in our brains, we have to really be on point with what it is that we're trying to create. I think of it this way, that we start with a path and then we start paving it, and then it becomes a superhighway, right? What kind of superhighway do you want to build in your brain is my question. And if we're in the place of being reflective, then we are going to understand to create the superhighway of neuroplasticity that we want in our brains, that are positive, that's solution oriented, that's going to help manage and change our lives. Then we're going to have to step back from that whole ruminating situation and instead be very reflective and do an analysis on it and figure it out, right? Everything's figure outable. So if we are, though, ruminating a lot, what happens? There's a massive impact on our lives, not to mention just the amount of energy that's just being drained out of us. It's almost like we're on a slow bleed thing. Oh gosh, Kathy, you're asking such good questions. All right, so let me get through this, and then I'm gonna come back to that. The first thing we have to look at is the impact on our lives if we are allowing our brains to just free range and ruminate like crazy with all the old stuff. Well, what happens and they've shown this in the science, that chronic rumination is associated with a range of mental health problems, including anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and even binge eating, because what are we trying to do? When we feel all of these things, what we want to do is unfeel them. We want to medicate. And lots of people, they choose their drug of choice. It could be food, it could be drink, it can be drugs, it could be gambling, it could be any kind of compulsivity that you choose to bring in, because when we do a compulsive behavior, guess what it does? It changes our body's chemistry. So we can do it in a constructive way, or we can deconstruct it in a way that's just traumatic and completely tears you down. This is why we have all these issues that we have. So we have to look at the impact that being a ruminator has on our lives, including It impairs your problem solving because when you dwell on problems without seeking solutions, right? That's ruminating versus if you do seek solutions, then you're reflecting. Then it hampers your ability to effectively address the challenge that's sitting in front of you. You can't. You can't because you're too busy talking about how bad it is, how awful it is, or thinking about it, or wishing that you could have done something different, or whatever it is. And remember, always think in terms of the vibe, right? This is really low vibe stuff. Is this where I want to live, or do I want to live way up here? In the place of joy, in the place of empathy, or in the place, you've seen this in the show notes. I've had the vibe charts out there before. There's something prickly hitting me. I don't know what it is. The other thing that it does is it reduces your cognitive capacity. So it crowds out. Remember I talked about dumping everything out into your journal? Well, if you are constantly ruminating like this, talk about being stuck, then you don't have the wherewithal, the bandwidth, and your cognitive resources are being squeezed because all this other crap is taking up room. You don't have room for other tasks. You forget about other things. And all you can think about is that. Right? It's kind of interesting. You know what else it does? It strains your relationships because you're going to have, if you need constant reassurance and everything's going to be okay and what have you, it exhausts the people around you. And it puts in a gigantic strain on them because not only do they have to manage themselves, but they also have to manage you and your emotional burden. So when we are not looking through solutions, and I remember saying this too, when years ago is, I don't want you to solve it for me. I just want you to hear what I have to say. And you know what? That happens with a lot of times when women, especially, are talking to their spouse or something, and they're just saying, this is what's going on. The immediate thing is the spouse wants to fix it, right? And says, well, what about doing this? And what about doing that? And immediately we go on defense and say, I just want you to hear me out, blah, blah, blah. This is how I'm feeling, yada, yada. And that's okay for a very limited time. But then you've got to come over onto the other side and say, okay, so now what do I do about this? Because living in the rumination itself is like having a cow chew you up, swallow you, bring you back up, and keep chewing. Now get that visual in your head, right? Gross. I don't want that. I don't want that. So here's what we have to remember, that ruminative thinking isn't reflection, because reflection is a very healthy process of thinking deeply about any subject or any problem either. It's aiming for understanding. It's aiming for a solution and insight and clarity. That's what reflection does. And it leads to often taking constructive action. It leads to getting closure on something. So ruminating is down a rabbit hole, reflecting, what would I do differently next time and how do I prepare for that? So what you do differently next time is you cut yourself off. You cut yourself off instead of saying, okay, oh, I've had this moment. I've felt this before. I know what this is all about. And now I'm going to get solution oriented. I'm going to pull out my journal and I'm going to start writing this stuff out. Because when we do that, then we have the ability to start sorting. Then we give ourselves the mental room, like I just talked about, to be able to do it. Big difference. And don't forget about, what the difference between rumination and worry is. One is the past and one is the future. So they still can interchange a little bit with one another, and they can get into the repetitive place. But the point is that we can observe both of these and then always pull back and become analytical. We have the ability and the capacity for doing that. So how do you stop this kind of thinking where you're just on this constant ruminating, hamster wheel? How do you stop it? Well, the first one is mindfulness. Of course, mindfulness coupled with meditation brings you to a place of calm and does literally changes your body's chemistry. And that is the goal. Remember, because when you train your brain, the body will follow. That's meaning that your body's chemistry is going to change. And that's how we do this. So, what this does is it anchors us in the present, doesn't it? Because being mindful means being present. And meditation is drawing inward. And so we can divert ourselves from rolling around in the past by simply saying, I am going to stay focused on today. I stay focused on the present. And it gives us an opportunity to observe our thoughts. And here's where it's really interesting, this at least for me. When we are observing our thoughts, we can choose which thoughts are going to stay and which thoughts we want to discard. You know, we can. Just like it's like a buffet. You know, you go to a buffet, you can eat absolutely everything on the buffet that you want to, or you can make choices on that buffet based on your outcome that you want. If you're looking for a healthy outcome, or if you're at a buffet and you're saying, but I'm doing the sprint, I'm doing this, then guess what? Your choices are going to be different than if it's going to be just a free-for-all. You know, and just like, oh, well, I never come to this buffet, so I might as well pile my plate up to here and just eat all this crap and feel like, you know, garbage. Or I'm going to be in a place of honoring my body and doing what's right for it. And these are going to be my choices. It's the same thing with your thoughts. You do not have to entertain every single thought that comes into your head. Just because it's come into your head doesn't mean that you have to say, okay, go ahead and sit there and bring some friends and keep going, right? We have choices in this matter. And so when we come to this place and start being able to observe our thoughts, that means we're noticing them. That means we are starting to select them and just say, you're out of here. You know, I'm going to replace you with this. We have the opportunity to do that at any point. Number 2, of course, I've talked about this before, but cognitive behavior therapy. There's books out there. There are people out there who do that, but it challenges this kind of ruminating, this kind of thinking. It challenges it and gives you replacement things to think about or do. And I think it's pretty darned easy to do it yourself. There's trained professionals out there, but it's like if you keep going to the same dark thought or the same dark thing, you can turn around and flip it. You know, when you keep saying, I'm so scared of this, I'm so scared of that, I'm so scared of this, I'm so scared of that, you turn it around and you start saying, I am courageous in spite of the fact that X, Y, and Z is happening. I choose to be brave when X, Y, and Z happens. I don't have to, I don't have to be like, I don't have to fall down this rabbit hole here. You don't have to. Even if that's been a habitual pattern, you still have the opportunity to pull back and say no. Number 3 is distraction, because this disrupts the loop. It's like if you were on that hamster wheel and you had a literal hamster on a hamster wheel, and you threw that little hamster a nut, that hamster is going to get off the wheel to go get that nut. Well, you could do the same thing. Don't throw yourself a nut, but make a decision. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk and clear my head. I'm going to have a gratitude walk for 10 minutes. I'm going to pick up my journal and journal. I'm going to call my body clutter buddy and just say, this garbage is going on. Help me to think new thoughts. Not so that you have somebody to just bitch and moan at, but somebody that you can just say, hey, can we help me correct this? I don't want to stay here anymore. You can do a puzzle. You can walk your dog. You can start a new hobby. You can start crocheting or painting or, skywriting. All of these things are things that we can do to pull ourselves back. The best person to rescue you is you. We think that we need we need the books, the plans, the professionals, the this, the that, and we discount ourselves so heavily. And when I say to you that the strength inside of you is greater than you know, I'm talking about this stuff too. And these are things that you could, these are free things, a gratitude walk, right, Nancy? A gratitude walk. How hard is that? It's not hard at all. As a matter of fact, even if it's raining buckets, You can put on your, rain boots and a raincoat and an umbrella and go outside anyway and just say, you know what? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be grateful for this rain, even. And just watch the shift inside. That's the big thing. Because if you train the brain, the body will follow. And if the body follows, that's going to help correct what's inside. And that's the loop we want. The other thing is you need to limit your triggers. We all have them. Every single person on the planet has some kind of a trigger. So what's the situation? What's the environment that exacerbates this problem? You know the answer for it, don't you? Everybody does. You know what triggers you? Fix it. Again, in your power. In your power, in your power, in your power. So recognize it, limit exposure to it, completely shift it. Those triggers are there, but it doesn't have to be so bad. It doesn't have to be, because you can fix that. And then don't forget about journaling. Hello, our very best friend with our pencil at hand. Go get it. Go after it. And remember, nobody's reading this. It's just for you. It doesn't have to be beautiful. You can speak in incomplete sentences. You don't even have to use punctuation and not even worry about your spelling. Nobody's grading your penmanship, right? This helps you get and grasp a clearer perspective of where it is that you're trying to go in the first place. It's hugely important. And then the next thing is acceptance. Accept, okay, this is what I do. This is what it's about. And I want to tell you this, that when we accept something, then we have the ability to shift and change. We don't if we don't accept it. If we say, oh, no, I don't do this. I don't want it, whatever. Just accept, you know what? I'm a ruminator. I've been ruminating on this. This is what I do. This is the thing. I'm going to accept this with one big caveat. I'm also going to change it. Because when we accept where we are, we have the ability to change. It's my story of going to Lane Bryant and getting clothes that fit me for the first time in years, right? I finally accepted my size and I got clothing that fit me. And once I got to that place of acceptance, I felt good about it and I felt like I looked better. And then I made the change that I wanted to make. And then I lost that weight. This is what we get to do. Same with this rumination thing, because this is how we're built as humans. Train the brain and the body will follow. Lastly, seek professional help if you just feel like you're just drowning. There is nothing wrong with asking somebody. We're humans. We're here for each other. We need this. Go find somebody that's going to make the. You don't need somebody who's going to ruminate with you. You need somebody who's going to pull you back and into the present. That's what you need. And we all need this, because if we are going to get unstuck with wherever we are, if we're going to have the vibrant, fully bloomed lives that we want and hotly desire with every little cell in our bodies, then we have to get out of this. Because otherwise, we're building superhighways of negativity that are never, ever going to acquiesce to the things of our hopes and dreams, ever. So stop writing it down that, life is just a big bag of, poop. Stop laying around in it. Stop all of this. Stop. And accept the fact that this is what's going on in your life right now. Okay. And now what? Now what's next? You don't want your brain incessantly running after nothing, because that's what it's doing. Getting you nowhere. It's not building an up-leveled life for you. It's crushing it and taking your soul at the same time. So if we are to love ourselves the way we want to love ourselves, and if we are to live our lives on purpose and for purpose, remembering that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, then it is absolutely on you, on me. It's our responsibility to take care of this garbage and to avail ourselves of every single tool in our toolbox that we can. And I just want you to remember this one thing, that if you start to notice your thoughts, and if you start to become very, very present with them and start to intentionally flip them and make that your habit, your life is going to look completely different in 1 year. Completely different. because you've trained your brain and your body started to follow. It's just that simple. And that is how we get unstuck. All right. That was a series, wasn't it? It was a lot. Look how well, 40 minutes worth. That was a lot. I hope that was helpful for you. And I hope, that you got something out of it. I did. Sure helped me a lot. I needed that. Thank you. I needed that. Now, if you have missed any of the announcements, please go to savingdinner.com/announcements. Everything is there, and you're going to want to take advantage of that clearance sale. I promise. All right. Peace be with you. I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.